So welcome to eCommerce Australia. Really pumped about this episode. We're talking CRO and Black Friday considerations with the best CRO specialist in the country, Ilan Hurwitz from Clever Conversions. A great man with a big heart and a lot of knowledge, so who looks very tanned after spending a few days in Byron Bay, might I add. So, mate, welcome back to the show. You're in rarefied air as a returning guest. I think it's Adriana Bazzari and Brendan Gillen as my only two returning guests, so you should feel incredibly privileged.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me back. Really looking forward to this one.
Nice one, mate. How was Byron before we get stuck into things?
Yeah, really good. Got away for a couple of days. Never a dull moment working in e-commerce. So good just to relax for a little bit. Always tricky trying to get that balance right. But yeah, good to get away for a few days before we head into the grand final of e-commerce, which I know we're diving into a bit more today.
Yeah, exactly, mate. What do you do in Byron? Did you get a surf in? Are you a surfer? Or do you go for a
No, no,
swim or?
you don't want to see me trying to surf at all. But just yeah, stayed in Lennox Head, which is a lovely part of the world. Beach, going to the beach. Went to Byron a couple of times for a night out, so it was a good couple of days.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Now we're back into it to the home stretch in the last quarter of 2024. So yeah, let's chat all things conversion rate optimization. Obviously, with Black Friday coming up, we can chat a little bit around what to expect for this coming period, but also I guess cost per clicks have never been as high as what they are now, and especially in that sales period. So I feel like conversion rate optimization plays a big part in, okay, it's going to cost us a fair bit to get traffic to our website. How do we maximize that traffic? So, you put together some notes around the numbers and the size of Black Friday, mate. Do you want to go through?
Yeah, I think the question is it going to be a big Black Friday? And I think it's going to be massive
Yep.
again this year. It was massive last year, $8.7 billion in sales just over the 4 days, which is
Shit.
crazy. That's $1.5 million spent a minute. So it's really big in Australia now. Black Friday, it's almost become embedded in our calendar. So I think it's going to be bigger again.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know, mate. I can't disagree with the numbers absolutely, but I'm a little bit over Black Friday, to be honest. I think Black Friday is morphed into Black November. Let's be completely honest, and we'll talk about, last year brands went very earlier, and again, it's going to happen again this year. So,
Mm.
I feel like it's lost its urgency just to be those Friday and Monday days. It's become a month of discounting.
Do you
And I
think all
just
brands, do you think all brands need to participate or should participate?
No, I don't. I
Hmm.
don't think all brand, but it depends on their situation and how their year's been. And I get that there's pressure to go and discount, but I think you need to understand why you're discounting. I think you need to understand those shoppers and what moves the needle for those discounters. Are they actually good customers to acquire? And then what do you do with them? So, I just wonder whether there's going to be a tipping point where a lot of brands go, you know what, we're out. Like if you look at Gen Z and the recent retail report come out that was produced by Shopify, like Gen Z especially, they're looking for sustainability. They're
Mm.
looking for a lot more from their brands, and I just think this is really mass consumption, high discount, but also shoppers are looking for value, and they'll definitely get that for Black Friday. I just think there's going to be a point where retailers go, you know what, we're not racing to the bottom anymore,
Mhm.
or there's going to be a different way to do it. If you are a brand that hasn't discounted all year, then you do get that green light to discount Black Friday without
Mhm.
losing any kind of appeal. But I think we're going to see a shift in the way brands deliver on these sorts of holiday promotions in the coming years. But given how tough it's been this year, maybe not this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of brands will start out talking about discounting less or not discounting, but inevitably, as you say, every situation is different. Some people might have stock that they need to get through, but it works, and everyone else is going to be participating. I think it was interesting to look at June was massive for online. Um, the NAB online report, which is a good one to look at if you want to see how online is growing, saw a massive June. It was 14% bigger than the previous June. Why was that? End of financial year sale. So I think, as well as Black Friday being just a key part of the calendar in Australia's minds, as Australian shoppers' minds now, people really know about it. Um, People are still spending, but they're waiting for sales. We're in a tough economy. People are budgeting, so I think that's why it's going to be big as well because people have marked it in the calendar and are gonna spend big.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And once you start getting into that kind of October period, which we're not far away from now, shoppers are already planning their Black Friday purchases or getting ready to purchase. So
Mhm.
I think it's really interesting the way that brands and e-commerce stores and retailers more generally need to consider your loyal customers and your VIPs. And, I guess that's where that sort of November blur starts to come in. You go early. Do you go early with an EDM campaign and keep it off your social media to your loyal customers and your VIPs? I know as a consumer, I'd be pretty annoyed if I paid full price for something on October, 20, and then November 1, it's half price. So
Yep.
how do you kind of handle that? And it's just all about brands getting their timing right for their campaigns.
The number one question I've had this week, it's really started to heat up. We're recording this late August, is when do we start Black Friday? What do you think? When is the right time? When is the right time to start? When do you think brands will start this week?
Well, I think the
This year, sorry.
brands will definitely start, 1st of November,
Yep.
if not earlier. So let's just for clarity, November 11 to 15 is the Click Frenzy,
Yes.
the main
Mm.
event. So that starts, that starts the ball rolling. Then you've got Black Friday, November 29. You've got Cyber Monday, December 2. You've got Boxing Day sales, December 26. You've got Singles Day, which I didn't also include. I think that's the 11th of the 11th, obviously, for all the number ones there. So there's a lot happening, but I think brands will go November 1, if not earlier.
Mm. Mm.
Potentially a smart way to do it is to let let your consumers know what's going to be on special, or
Mhm.
so they can plan for that a little
Yep.
bit, and that might be able to, they're planning their spending, trying to get that share of wallet right. Well, if you start to manage expectations about what's on sale, what's not on sale, and how they can get ready for it, then that's potentially a good way to start.
Mm. Yeah, I heard someone say the other day, flushing the funnel is that's how you describe Black Friday. There's all this pent-up demand from the year. People are aware of your products. They're creating their lists, and then over that weekend or a bit earlier is when you convert all that interest. And I think yeah, the emails is a great way to do it. Things like wish lists and helping people curate and make it really easy for them. They've already decided what they want, make it easy for them to purchase. I think another interesting one, Black Friday is a bit later this year on the 29th, and so it starts to go into Christmas gift guide and gift shopping time as well. So creating gift guides and helping people uh, create a shopping list from that as well. I think it'll start just after Click Frenzy. I think you'll see a lot of people talk about Black Friday, 1st November, in their marketing, but they're not really offering their true Black Friday deals. Click Frenzy offers a great opportunity to offer a great deal. It's still 2 weeks before, and so I'm advising clients go pretty big on Click Frenzy. See if you can get some early sales before people spend all their money, and then probably start some sort of Black Friday the week following with your big offers happening over that weekend.
Yeah, interesting. And I think it's also important to remember what discounting does to your, you mentioned their funnels
Mhm.
before. So, there's generally, whilst it's never linear, there are, awareness, consideration, and conversion. If we want to just keep it at its most simple form,
Mhm.
when you discount, you just bring people through that funnel so much quicker.
Yep.
So if you're not having awareness campaigns and consideration
Mm.
campaigns to kind of refill that funnel off the back of Black Friday and Christmas, then that first quarter of next year could be quite slow as well. So
Mm.
whilst we're trying to get as many conversions as we can, I still think it's important, especially for creative, to try and find a way to get new people aware of your products over that period as well. And otherwise, it's going to be a huge increase in sales, reduced profit, and then you get to Jan, Feb, March, and it's quiet again, and you're wondering why. That's potentially why. So that's something just to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, and this is such a good point. The hangover, which happened with end of financial year as well this year too. Like it's going to happen, and be ready for it when you're doing your forecasting and mapping out your offers. But you're right, everything happens so quickly over Black Friday. It's a really high conversion, so people aren't spending as much time researching, looking for products, deciding what they want. So you've got to do all of that work really from now, but in particular, when as it gets closer, people are going to be starting to move from buying it now to waiting to Black Friday. And so how do you make sure that you're on that list?
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't go with Black Friday, if you decide, like I think some of these retailers may do in the coming years, that
Mm,
we've had enough of this race to the bottom and the discounting, we're actually going to uphold our values and our margins and our premium product and offer something different, all of a sudden you've probably got more ammo to fire come sort of Jan, Feb, and March, and continue to sort of build and invest in content and nurture the kind of clients or the kind of consumers that you actually want to attract. Some interesting plays out there, so I'm looking forward to just seeing how brands execute on it. So yeah, in terms of what to do first, mate, what are your suggestions? Are you would you review last year's performance and identify opportunities to improve? What's your kind of research phase look like?
yeah, absolutely. That's the first place to start is looking at last year where we've been very busy this year. It's kind of hard to remember exactly what went on. So going back and having a look at what were the top products that sold, what were the key pages that people landed on, what was your key messaging. You probably should be doing this. I'm talking specifically around CRO and conversion, what happens on site, but really this should be happening across your whole business with your product team. Obviously, the logistics team is looking at stock, the marketing team is looking at ad spend as well, and just really getting an understanding of what happened and going through as a team, taking the time now while you can to be honest about what went well, what didn't go well, and what you can improve on, and going through that exercise and getting really, really clear on the opportunities before you dive into the planning and execution phase and deciding exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah, yeah, spot on, mate. That's a great point. And even looking at that cohort last year and understanding, of those new audience and new users that purchased at a discount, have they purchased again? Like what's their
Yeah,
behavior? And then that can start to build out your strategy a little bit as well, and maybe again evaluate the worthiness of entering into Black Friday. And speaking of reviewing last year's performance, one thing that I do come across, which surprises me a little bit, but a lot of e-com brands, they don't really have Google Search Console set up as
mm,
well as they should. So I think it's imperative when looking at organic search to have that Google Search Console set up. It literally takes 5 minutes. If you're an emerging brand and you haven't done too much SEO, I would highly recommend downloading or jumping onto Google Search Console, setting up your account. As I said, it literally takes 5 minutes. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help if you need to. But you can really get some interesting data around, history and where your organic traffic is coming from, what searches you turn up or what searches you turn up for. You can really get granular in terms of the queries. So you can, example, if you want to know like branded versus non-branded, you can put in a query not containing and then put your brand name in there. And it just really helps to see what kind of people are searching, especially with Black Friday keywords and that sort of thing. So, quick tip there, get Google Search Console set up so you can analyze the data from this year.
yeah, that's such a good one. I think there's so many easy data sources and trying to understand, for example, what the activity on your website, like just going to Shopify reports, like GA4 has been a bit of a challenge for historical data, but Shopify reports are pretty good. There's landing page reports, so you can go back and look at what happened last November, looking at bounce rates, looking at time on page, all these things from a CRO perspective. You really want to understand how people are shopping on the site. There's so much competition. People are doing things so quickly. You want to get into that mindset so you can understand how important it is to present all of your offers. A good one as well, if you want to see what others did last year, the Wayback Archive machine. Have you heard of that?
Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have actually. I
yeah,
haven't used
yeah,
it to be honest
yeah.
that
It's pretty
often, but
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, you can just put in anyone's URL, and there's a pretty good chance this this website. It's been around forever, but it takes snapshots of a whole lot of the web internet periodically, and so there's a pretty good chance your competitor's website was snapped. So you can go and have a look at their offers and see. And of course, you can go back into your own, perhaps if you're on Shopify, your own old themes, and just remind yourself of what you did. If you've got heat maps, that's also a great way just to really understand what you did, and what you can improve on.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And you one of the things we mentioned in preparation for this podcast was around checking that lifetime value of new customers acquired.
Yes.
So obviously we've sort of touched on that a little bit, but how do you evaluate the long-term value of customers acquired and see that sort of impact on your overall marketing strategy?
You're doing that cohort analysis. So Shopify's got a really good report. There's a lot of add-on tools like Lifetimely, Triple Whale, which you can use, which are really good at helping you do this as well. So one of the best places to start is with a cohort analysis. So what that does is it will actually show you what happened with all your Black Friday or your November customers in subsequent months. So if you had 1,000 customers, they spent $100,000. It actually shows you how many of those customers came back in December, January, February, and how much they spent as well. And so you can look at them in isolation, and that is always very interesting because you can compare to your normal customer when you know you're not on sale. You can see your average price as well, and you can see, and if you see a big difference, that's the sign straight away that perhaps you're not. If it's really low for the November cohort, then you're probably not attracting the best type of customer who is coming back, because of course there's going to be people around who are just looking for a deal. They're just going to use you, and they're not coming back. And for a lot of people, getting repeat purchases is really built into their profitability. So that's the first one to look at. Shopify does have it as a report, and there's a lot of other great tools like I've used Lifetimely, is pretty good. Triple Whale, which also make it. It's quite easy to understand that data. So that's like a really important one. I think the other one is to look at your customer service and your customer service tickets and your logistics. I think that it's just these are all the things where we get so focused and excited about the big day and all the revenue that comes from it. But then, yes, what happens next with the value of the customer, and was your customer service team and support, because that equally plays a role in getting that customer back. You want to try and acquire new customers. There's so many people out there shopping. So how do you take that opportunity to introduce them to your product and make sure they have a great experience?
Yeah, spot on, mate. And speaking of kind of getting in front of new customers too, I think an important question that I get asked around how does SEO kind of merge into Black Friday, and how do we set ourselves up from an organic point of view? And a couple of tips I would have is obviously set up that Google Search Console to start with, so we can actually get the data. Google Search Console is the ultimate source of truth as far as I'm concerned. But then when it comes to SEO, and this is why I love talking to you, because there's such a big difference. There's such a huge correlation, I should say, between SEO, CRO, UX. At the end of the day, it's all about user experience. So if we want to set ourselves up for success when it comes to Black Friday, as an example, we should have a collections page that is purely for that sale period. So one tip I would say is don't have in the URL slug, don't have Black Friday 2024 sale, just have Black Friday sale and have that collections page and have every deal that you have on that page. So when you're sending traffic for people that are looking for that service, whether that's through social or whatever it is, send them to that page that's all about Black Friday and keep it as relevant as you can. And then as you go through each year, you can keep that same page. So you can keep your link building activities. You can keep building authority to that sales page, throughout the years, and you don't have to create a new page each year. So, building those evergreen sales pages is really important for SEO, but also really important for UX. And it gives your customer a much better experience if you're sending them to a page that's so relevant to Black Friday or that sales period.
So important with the UX. People just want to know, they land on a site, am I in the right place? What do I do next? Like, I'm on the Black Friday page. I don't need to go hunting around for the best deals. This is where I need to keep browsing and looking for a product. And then, of course, from an SEO perspective, ad costs are going to be so high during this time. In fact, with the election as well, the US election, ad costs could actually be even more expensive this year around. So you need that SEO traffic to help bring down those costs.
Exactly.
I just Googled Black Friday sales, and JB Hi-Fi have got themselves ranked number one. Can see Catch. I imagine they they started those pages years ago, and have
Yep.
been able to get those rankings.
Do they have the year in the URL or
They have put the year, yes, great, in the description title they have, but no, not in the URL.
yeah, yeah. So keep that URL the same, or set, or year agnostic. But yeah, then you can use them for the H1s and H2s and the copy.
That's
So it's
gold.
still
That's
kind of
gold.
a
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
how easy it is to just set up that page. Like it's something. Okay, maybe this year it's like getting the rankings. It might not rank yet, but getting that going is going to help you so much in future years.
yeah. I mean, we all know obviously SEO is long term. So JB Hi-Fi would have had that page for years and years. I'd be interested actually
The Wayback
to click
Machine.
to
Let's
click
go
on
to
the Wayback Machine and have a look and see. But I'm assuming that they've been building authority, building links, through that page for many years. This is why they're ranked one, and they'll see a massive return on investment over this sort of next couple of months for that.
And one thing I've seen people do with those style pages is actually have a newsletter opt-in. Going back to your point around just getting people ready. If you're not, they might start searching November, mid-November. You haven't got your sales yet, so you just have the email opt-in, and they can sign in, be the first to know as soon as we launch our offers. I think I saw that Woody do that last year.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the best way, and that's probably the playbook for most of the great e-commerce brands out there is launching soft launch to your database before you go out to social. So I think email is a great way to start that conversation, to nurture them, to set expectations around what is and what's not going to be on sale and whether you're going to do a sale at all. I think that's really important to keep the customer informed. So, email obviously plays a huge part in Black Friday.
Yeah, it's it's so critical, and it's the one time of the year where you can get away with lots of emails and lots of SMS as a brand. I think SMS is always a tricky one. You've got to be so careful, but it's 100% open rate. So it's so powerful and it works. And there's just so much noise around Black Friday. I was listening to a podcast the other day in America, and they were talking about emailing 2 or 3 times a day during Black
Wow,
Friday,
too much,
every single day,
too
SMS
much.
every day. They did say start to your whole database, and after the second or third, only go to people who've clicked and opened. And that's another key thing you can do this year is generally best practice. You should only be emailing to an engaged segment of your database, not to everyone. But Black Friday is when you can go to everyone, and you're more like there's more people out there who are ready to purchase who might not have engaged with you throughout the year. So there's so much that you can do with email, and particularly in the lead up to email is just building out the database. So just gives you that extra marketing lever to get your message across during a busy time. So there's always the on-site pop-ups, which are good, which can be optimized. But one thing I've done with a few clients lately is run competitions off-site. So what you can do is run an ad on Facebook, win a prize, to whatever it is, something related to your product, because you want to try and qualify people. You don't just want people who are interested in competitions, and they don't need to go to the site or anything to enter the competition. They just enter on Facebook, and you
You
just
have to
go.
have some pretty good T's and C's around that, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you got to make sure the T's and C's around winning the prize and how they use the information, but you can integrate it directly with Klaviyo, and so that
Okay.
lead just goes straight into Klaviyo, that you can then use for Black Friday.
Yeah, and I think list hygiene is so critical for these sorts of sales periods. So if you can like the most hyper personalized segmented list that any e-commerce business has, the better, or will make the most amount of money. I think with Black Friday. So instead of just doing a big blanket email, which is kind of the done thing, if you can email a specific segment with a
Mm.
specific message and a specific offer that's so granular to what they're looking at or what they're interested in, you're going to get such better results. And that comes down to the preparation, obviously, before November. So you need to know as much about your customers as you can to segment them and really send them offers that they're interested in and ones that they're not. And I think you'll get a lot better return on investment with your emails as well.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of it, it's not too difficult. Like in Klaviyo, just all the people that went to a certain collection page. You don't want to over. I think sometimes I have seen people overcomplicate the segmentation because you can in Klaviyo. There's like all these variables that you can target on, but for a fashion brand, let's say for example, like looking at collection, a specific collection. Let me try this one again. That was a
Cut
um
that, Evelyn.
yeah, cut.
Start again.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's kind of across the board with all your marketing. Like the more you understand your customer, the more you can try it, you can tailor your message. It's just going to absolutely increase conversion.
Yeah, yeah, and then we'll get on to talking about the website
Yes,
shortly.
yes,
But I think
my
that's a good.
favorite.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's where you come into your own, mate. But we're doing all these things. We're sending out our. I can only imagine the amount of SMSs I'm going to get because I've subscribed to a lot for the podcast, and I can imagine my phone's going to get smashed. Um,
I think some people start up like burner emails just for that, just for their promotions, just so they can
yeah,
keep
yeah,
making sure
exactly. It's not a bad idea. But we're doing SEO, we're doing email, we're obviously running paid ads as well. We're doing everything we can to get people to the website. If the website is not optimized for success, then all of our efforts are going to go through the window, out through the window, out the door. I don't know. Have I mixed up too?
congrats going out both.
Exactly. So we need to really make sure that the website's in order. And one of the things before I hand it over to you, our website and CRO expert, is just because it's top of mind at the moment. I had Kate Massey on from SearchSpring,
Mm,
and she was talking about increasingly in smart product bundling.
yep.
If we don't have, if we're doing all this hard work and spending budget to get people to the website, and we don't give them an option to bundle up products and increase our AOV, cross sells, post sell, engagement, that sort of thing. If we don't have those mechanics in place, I'd strongly recommend looking at how you can implement that between now and November because we want good UX, we want good product bundles that make sense to the consumer, give them a chance to add more to their cart, get more value, you get a higher AOV, so everyone wins really. So yeah, that would be one thing I would consider is ensuring that you've got good bundling and good sort of people also purchase those sorts of things. So, but mate, I'll leave it there. Have you
I'll
got
just
anything
say
to add to that?
it's so critical. It's never been more important. I'm obviously pretty biased, but it really is so critical. We know if you've worked in e-commerce or at an agency, we're so far past just being able to put money in Facebook, having a good product and a good site, and seeing money come the other side. We now need to optimize every single part of the journey, and that means really dialing in on your website experience. And that has to happen during Black Friday. It's such an opportunity. There's so much traffic. There is so much being spent. And I mentioned this in the first podcast, but I'll mention it again. Just think about what happens in a retail store. Think about what, ever been to Boxing Day sales in a retail store? It's so there's so much going on, and just getting someone into the store is only half the job's done. And you've really got to make sure that every single little detail, um, every single little point of there's no. We say when reviewing a website, are you increasing every single part of your website, increase motivation and reduce friction, and that is something that just needs to be perfect for that post-click experience. But we've got to,
Nice. I like that.
you like that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
Um,
one.
it's
Each step, each sort of new page that they click on, or each sort of
everything. Well,
action they
really,
take
yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, every single thing that they're looking at, every single click that they're making. So friction, there's pop-ups, pop-ups, pop-ups. Motivation is good images. Like it is very great. It's a great way because UX can get quite complicated pretty quickly, but everyone can understand that, and it's going through. Yeah, just asking yourself that question: Is this headline motivating, or is it friction? Is this pop-up motivating, or is it causing friction in the shopping journey? Everything, every single detail matters. I go through websites and I get into a lot of detail, and I say to people, I know this seems small, but think about an elite athlete. Think about people who are the best in the world at what they do. It's all about the hard work and the detail that you don't see. If you go look at big brands, if you look at other sites or products you want to be like, don't just think about what you see on the outside. I can tell you they're spending a lot of time understanding their customer, going through their website, and doing the hard work to make sure that it looks easy and is easy for customers.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about such incremental margins when it comes to conversion rate,
Yeah.
aren't we? So if you can get your conversion rate from 1.8 to 2.5, it's a game changer at that level.
We've got a calculator. I'll just shout out on our website, but just Google conversion rate calculator, and um, it's amazing the difference. It's so powerful. Obviously, it increases your orders and your revenue, but then it reduces your cost per sale. What does that mean? You've got more funds to invest into marketing. So you get your cost per sale from $30 to $20. Maybe then if you want to grow, you've got an extra $10 to bid higher in Google or Facebook because it's a bidding game, right? Whoever pays more wins. And so you can just set off this growth cycle and you haven't had to pay for it. You've improved the baseline website experience converting from your existing budget. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it can make a huge difference. And it improves
Everything.
customer experience. That's actually you actually get happy customers as well because they're not gonna buy and convert unless they're happy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And all good marketing stems from a great website.
Yeah,
I've got clients or I've had clients that I've tried to run SEO campaigns through and their website hasn't been that great and the campaigns just don't work.
yeah.
I'd love to say take all the credit and say, yeah, the SEO was brilliant, but the most common thing that I see of campaigns that do work and campaigns that don't is the motherboard, right?
Mm,
The
mm,
home page, the
yeah.
website, sorry, I should say, not optimized. I don't care what you do, your marketing won't be anywhere near as efficient. So it's so critical. How does someone know if they've got a good UX?
Do the grandma test. Put your website on mobile in front of your grandma and see how easy it is to use. It's that's one way. There's broadly we split it into to data research or quantitative research or qualitative, which is basically we can look at numbers to understand the experience, or we can do research with people, put the website in front of people, do surveys, and actually see how they are experienced. Because at the end of the day, we need to understand what shall I say again? um, cut.
Evelyn,
Yeah, I think
thank you.
there's two ways to understand the UX. We can look at the data and we can just speak to our customers and understand the true experience. I think something to keep in mind as e-commerce professionals, we sit in front of computers all day. We're actually separated from our customers, but whoever's closest to their customers wins. It's kind of like a fundamental principle of business, and we need to remind ourselves. Even it's crazy, but we need to remind ourselves to check our experience on mobile sometimes because we're on desktop all day. This is a really simple example. So we don't have the advantage of, say, people in retail where they're speaking face to face and getting feedback from customers. So you've got to be quite proactive in how you do that. So people want to listen to my first pod. I go into a bit of detail on the data side. We can look, obviously using GA4 is or Shopify reports is a great way because you can actually look at uh, where people are bouncing on your site, understanding the time on page. So you're trying to just and time on page and looking at the device. So you can look and see they're on mobile, they browse for a minute, and most of them are new. So we're starting to add some color and understand who our customer is. And so you can look at the website and go, does this make sense on mobile? Is there too much information? They're not spending that much time. So that's one way to do it. But then, of course, just putting it in front of people and seeing how they browse through it. There's a couple of platforms. I always just encourage people to go out on the street and put their phone in front of people and see how they're experienced. But you can do more formal research. There's a platform called Askable where you can actually recruit people, pay about $50 per person, and you can send them a task and they'll take a video of them browsing the website and giving you feedback. So if I have to choose, that's always the one I prefer because you're just hearing from real customers. Another really good one is post-purchase surveys. So you can put them on the thank you page when people have just purchased, so it's fresh in their memory, and you ask them really direct questions about the experience. Could you find what you were looking for? Is there anything we could do to improve? Questions like that, which give you quite actionable tips on different things that you can improve. The other one is heat maps as well. Is a great place just to understand what people are engaging with across your
Yep.
site, what they're clicking on, and what they're viewing.
And you mentioned Microsoft Clarity, didn't you, as one that you'd prefer or one of your
Yeah,
preferred options?
it's one I recommend because it's good and it's free. So it's
Yep.
kind of like the GA4 of heat map. So that's always a good one to get started. There's a couple other out there. Heatmap.com's a good paid product designed specifically for e-commerce, which is good. And then there's Hotjar, of course, which I think most people have heard of.
Everyone knows. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now that makes sense. So, get your website checked out. I just love the fact that, yeah, those that know their customers best win, and that's been the common theme amongst every person I've had on this podcast.
Mm,
I had Kelly Jamison on, who was the founder of Edible Blooms, who do a huge business nowadays. She's not too big to not call her customers randomly and ask how their experience was. So, I put it to you, the listener, when was the last time you've actually rang a customer that you don't really
mm,
know, but you just thought, give them a call, see how their experiences was? I guarantee you that builds great rapport. Now, it's not scalable,
mm.
but you'll start to pick up some common themes that you can just really, really fix up between now and November. You can understand, in terms of cross sell or upsell opportunities, like some of you just can pick up such good clues
Mm.
by connecting with real people. That's why I love that fact that you can just go outside too and ask 10
Yeah.
random people to purchase something on your, or to go through the purchase journey of buying something on your website and just talk out loud about what they're seeing or what their concerns are. And another thing we've touched, or we haven't touched on yet, but I know we mentioned before in preparation for this podcast, was just the sizing charts as well, and ensuring that people have all the information they need to make a decision.
Yeah, I think the sizing chart is a really important one, and maybe I can run through just a bit of a list of what you can do first to to get your website ready for Black Friday. And the first is we kind of call it the jobs to be done, like just fixing the basics, doing a real spring clean of your website. When was the last time, to the listeners, that you actually went through your purchase journey all the way through end to end in detail? And that's the first place to start is the whole team. Get everyone to go through the full experience. Every time I do an audit, I always find things, um, buttons not working, links not working, or just things that kind of don't make a lot of sense. And I get why. It's very busy being an e-commerce manager, a business owner. It's sometimes things that aren't that obvious. And so going through that exhaustive exercise of just going through the journeys, now's the time to do it because you still have a window of opportunity to fix things and clean things up. And people will just not um, tolerate friction during Black Friday unless it's a really big discount or they really want the product. People are going to have 3 or 4 tabs open. They've got the credit card out, they're spending, and any little issues is an opportunity for them to drop off. And you don't want to be that site. And then there's a few other things around just getting on top of bugs and issues that they can be quite difficult to pick up just by going through the site yourself. So there's a lot of issues on the site which aren't going to be obvious to you as you go through the site, and we need to get on top of those as well. Things like bugs and JavaScript errors. They might not be obvious to customers either. They might be in the background slowing down the site, and we can't afford that either during
Yep.
Black Friday. So do all your speed tests now. Try and understand all the things that are slowing down your site. A lot of them could be really easy to fix. Things like large images, things like unnecessary apps you've uninstalled, which have left code on the site. All these things could be slowing down the site. Microsoft Clarity and the other heat map tools do have built-in what they call like friction metrics, like dead clicks, which is when people click on something they think is clickable, but it's not. It's got rage clicks, which is when people click on something that is clickable, like a CTA button, but they click it 2 or 3 times because it's not responding, which
Yeah.
suggests there's an error in the link. So these reports help you zone in and figure out which pages to have a closer look at. You can then work with your agency or your in-house dev team to make sure a really nice, clean, fast site in preparation.
Yeah, nice one, mate. And for a speed test, do you recommend like Page Speed Insights is probably the best one to utilize?
Yeah, I always like to uh, get a second opinion. So I use
Okay.
PageSpeed Insights and I normally use GT Metrics.
Okay.
GT Metrics is good as well because you need an account, a free account, but once you do that, it allows you to select the city And so I think the default's US, so at least allows you to select, okay, do this test from a server in Sydney, I think is the one they have for Australia.
Okay, yeah, nice. And yeah, I think the speed test is vital for running any sort of paid acquisition campaigns. If and for SEO as well, I should say, the speed test is just vital. You need to have a quick loading
Yeah,
website,
yeah,
otherwise it's just you're losing dollars
yeah,
every time. So
absolutely.
that's vital for performance.
Yeah, and the good one with page speed is it shows the mobile, and there's always a big difference as well. So that's really, really critical as well. Most listeners are going to have probably 70, 80% of people browsing and shopping on mobile.
Yeah, nice one, mate. I want to get to some apps that I think you've got an app that you want to suggest, and I've got an app that I want to suggest for getting more sales and
Hmm.
improving that UX. Let's park that to the end because I think there are a couple of really good apps out there that are must-haves for e-commerce.
Hmm.
We talk about product, the PDP, merchandising, promotions. How do we get the most out of our product pages from a CRO viewpoint? Improve the overall UX, but let's get a little bit more specific around the collections pages and the PDP. So, what can we do from a CRO point of view to make sure that they're set up to succeed?
Yeah, I think CRO is very different. I spoke about increasing that motivation, and it's really all about the deals over Black Friday. And I think typically people, rightfully so, are careful around talking about discounts and deals because of it can dilute the brand proposition. But over Black Friday, I think you really need to make sure that at every single touch point, people know there's a sale going on. Make it easy for them to understand what the deal is, make it easy for them to find the products with the best deals relevant to them. So I think that's the first point is don't go crazy, but talk about Black Friday as often as possible across every touch point. People are coming to your website and landing on different pages, and you don't want to make it difficult for them to find where the Black Friday deals are because 90% of them are going to be asking that question in their mind.
Yeah,
One other,
if you're in, you're in, right? If you're doing Black Friday, you're doing it.
yeah,
You
like
can't
have
sort of.
it, have it as exactly, exactly. So in your announcement bar, in your navigation menu, like for the landing page, like Black Friday, like change the color so it's easy to click, like on your homepage banner, at the top of all your collections, like Black Friday specials, like little when you obviously on the product page we're now the money page we're getting closer to conversion people are seriously considering so all the things we talk about in CRO really need to just make sure they're really elevated. um, Countdown timers and urgency are really effective. Make sure they're genuine. I know
Yeah,
people sometimes go a bit crazy with countdown timers, but time and time again, with the tests I've done, having a countdown timer, it's probably a day out, not too long, because then you lose the urgency. And having that near the add to cart, add to cart button, well designed on the product page is really really effective. If you've got limited stock, genuinely, perhaps you've got a limited run. You could also probably look at having that as a time, not a timer, but yeah, having a countdown of the stock, letting people know there's only a few left.
I think that is like so key for scarcity and urgency. As I
Yep.
mentioned off the top, we're losing urgency with Black Friday because it goes
Mm,
for a month. Like it probably goes longer than a month. I think people are going to go even earlier. But how do you include some scarcity in it? Say, or how do you protect yourself from being that big discount,
mm,
brand? And one way to do it is say we're only going to discount 20 of these,
yes.
or whatever that is, and then you get people like that builds scarcity into
Mm,
that. So if you don't take advantage of that the first 20 people to purchase it, then it's gone. So people aren't going to wait for a better deal or hold off or hold off or hold off. They're like, geez, there's emergency here. If I want this, I need to get it now. Anything you can do to increase urgency is huge.
yeah, yeah. I think if you've got those limited runs, like that's so powerful. We're not driving a sale with a discount. You're driving it with scarcity as well. So using the combination of those two, and it's so effective. It just works so well. Yeah, I think then the other one is just there's a standard checklist of things which should be on every product page. Never assume that people have been to your homepage and your collections page. I often see people might have some good reviews on the homepage, they're not on the product page, for example. So just making sure things like your return policy, your money back guarantees, your delivery dates. Some people are buying for Christmas, so they want to know delivery dates. A lot of brands choose to extend their return policy over
Yep.
this time, 'cause just to remove that friction and get people adding more to cart. I think another really a really powerful one. Sorry, cut. I think I'll have to chip in, mate, to help with the editing.
It's all good.
Um, uh, I think another really important thing to keep doing is keeping your offers fresh, keeping your merchandising fresh across the site. So changing up that home banner, changing up those offers, and trying to, people might come, have a look. They're going to come back. They might come back later on, and seeing something different, which hopefully that second or third time resonates. So keeping the theme really fresh as well, and ideally your offers if you can, but at least having the creative and the overall feel of the site different. So giving people who are returning a reason to stay and explore.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Anything else before we sort of wrap up and suggest a couple of apps that everyone must download?
I was just going to say, if you do have the time between now and Black Friday, if you're a store that has a hero product, try building out a dedicated landing page. So the idea is to do something really different to your typical product page. We've all seen the typical PDP. We can put some links into the show notes for your listeners. There's that typical PDP page, but this is more of a think about your homepage, your collections page, and your product page all in one. It has all the information. And Nick Sharma, who's a bit of a D2C guru in North America, he says that every good landing page should answer these questions. What is the product? How does it benefit me as the buyer? Why should I trust this brand? How does it compare to other options in the market? If I order today, when does it arrive? And what happens if I don't like the product? If you can answer all those questions with great design, copy, and UX, it's kind of you can see conversion rate often double or triple, and I've seen this a few times with a few brands.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. I love that. So, what's the product? How does it benefit me? Why should I trust the brand or the product? How does it compare to other ones? Is a really big one because that is what your customer is thinking, right? How does this compare? Is this the best option that I have? If I order today, when does it arrive? So important. And then what happens if I don't like the product as well? So that answers everything. And yeah, there's no reason for that customer to then click off on any other page because they don't have any other questions really. That covers most of them in terms of lessening the amount of risk and highlighting or pretty much just lessening the amount of risk. I can
Yep.
leave it at that.
Yep.
Beautiful, mate. Well, look, we've covered a lot of ground. Really keen to get your advice on what apps we should be using. Obviously, apps are sexy, and some of them actually cut that bit.
Amazing, amazing.
Obviously,
Keep that in. Keep that in.
apps are sexy. That's the
Very hot
takeaway.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With a Zoolander. So there's a few good apps that you've recommended, and I'll leave this last little bit into the podcast to go through this for the last couple of minutes. One of the apps that I've had on the podcast previously, and I think it's an absolute no-brainer to not have, is Mateship. That app allows
Right up.
you, like, it costs you nothing to set up. It costs you 15 minutes or 15 minutes of your time to download the app and get yourself set up. But what it does is if someone purchases a product that is in the same apartment building or the same workspace or co-working space or commercial premises as you, if there's a few of them that are on that app, it gives you basically free impressions and free emails. It emails the entire database to say, hey, someone just purchased this. Would you like free shipping? It just gives you so much more visibility for $0. And the only time that you get you pay is if it creates an additional order. So, why not pay an extra $5 or 2% or whatever it is to get those additional orders that you would never have got with the impressions that you never have had, or because someone else purchased within that same space as you. So I think Mateship is an absolute no-brainer, especially when people are purchasing more and more products for Black Friday. So there's a tip to me. A tip to me. There's a tip to all the e-commerce businesses out there to install Mateship.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think it's as you said, it's kind of a no-brainer. With free shipping is friction. People
Costs you
hate,
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it costs you nothing.
People,
People hate shipping. Once a product's arrived, it's like that's it. You paid this money and you got
the
nothing
muzzle,
from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the muzzle
So,
take a punt on something to get free shipping, and
yep.
they've already got that social proof built in. So this is not a sponsored post by any means. I just think it makes sense.
There was another app. I think a software uh, that I think you mentioned you saw at online retailer where people can buy clothes without paying up front, try it on,
Try
and
with
then
Mirror. Yeah,
try
he
with
was
Mirror.
on Pete Seredic Evans.
Very
A big shout
interesting.
out to Pete. Their statistics are mind blowing. If you follow Pete on LinkedIn, you'll see that how impressive and how much it increases that AOV when people can actually, if they're not sure about a product, they can click one button. It sends it all to them. They have 7 days to try it on. And what Pete's found is that the AOV in the cart is significantly increased because people already have the products. They try them on and then they keep them. So yeah, that's another great one if you're a fashion business.
So interesting. I kind of actually hear that. I'm surprised someone didn't do that earlier on. It makes so much sense, especially for fashion brands.
Exactly.
A big one over Black Friday is cross-sell. You're paying for this traffic. There's so much. People are only going to spend so much money. How do you put more offers in front of them? And I've mentioned in a previous podcast a couple of apps which are very easy to install and allow you to offer products at different parts of the journey. It might be on the product page. It might be when they click the add to cart. The one I love is the post-purchase, which is in between the checkout and the thank you page. So customers have put in their credit card details, they've put in their payment details, they've paid any shipping, and then they can add another product almost similar to Mateship for no extra shipping as well. So just with one click, so it's very, very effective. One that's there's a lot of apps out there. Honeycomb is a good one. Aftersell is very, very popular, and Aftersell's just added a new feature which is very interesting. When you if you ever buy like tickets from Ticketek and then at the end you get given all these offers, like
Yeah.
5%. So they've added that in. So
Okay.
it's a network of offers, which none of them, they're not e-commerce, they're not competing directly with your brand. But if people click on that, you actually get some revenue. So
Okay.
you actually get a bit of extra revenue as well. So yeah, highly recommend testing some cross sells now, figuring out the ones that people want the most and making sure they're part of the purchase funnel over Black Friday. I think the other big one I think we're going to talk about is order editing, which is really powerful. Allows you to go in and edit an order within 30 minutes of making it. Firstly, great from a customer service perspective because, again, no sponsoring here,
Yep.
um, but it's such a great solution, customer service perspective. You can edit the order within 30 minutes. So people put in the wrong address, whatever it is, they can just fix it themselves instead of your customer service staff getting involved. But when they do that, they can add more products in as well. So there's another opportunity there to cross sell and for people to add to their order before it ships.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. No, I watch. He does a lot of good LinkedIn too.
It has, it has.
What? What's he? I can't think of his name now.
Hamish.
Hamish. That's it.
Yeah.
Hamish Mackay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. So yeah, give him a follow. He's building an incredible business, same as Mateship as well. Those
Yep.
guys are in the US and they're building like some pretty cool content as well. But look, they're just some apps to help. I don't think any of them actually cost anything to get set up and get started.
Yep.
I certainly know Mateship doesn't, but I'm not sure about the others. But well worth checking out as it enhances the customer experience. All three or four that we mentioned there help enhances the customer experience, which ultimately means that you'll be more trusted and more preferred when it comes to handing over the hard earned dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, really easy to install and get started.
Mate, thank you so much for your time. You've delivered in spades again. We've got a lot of great information there. I'm sure the listeners will have to listen back to this podcast a couple of times to take as much action as we can. But looking forward to a huge Black Friday. In the lead up, mate, you obviously do it CRO and you do it really well. If someone does want a bit of a tune up or a bit of an audit, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a message. I'm always happy to do a free audit, do a free review for someone and see if I can help.
Fantastic, mate. And, I can speak firsthand. Ilan's helped us out with a couple of our bigger ecom clients as well at Remarkable Digital and done a brilliant job. So thorough. And it will definitely help your conversion rate in the lead up to Black Friday. Obviously, it's probably not ideal to do a CRO review the week before Black Friday starts. So maybe get ahead of that
Now's the
train. And
time.
yeah, I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. He's happy. Are you doing it for free, did you say, at the moment?
Yeah, yeah, we do a free. Yeah, send me your website, URL. I do a Loom video. Jump on a call and take you through a few ways you can improve your website.
Mate, you're going to get hammered with that offer. So,
Let's do
yeah,
it.
really, really appreciate that. Love to hear any comments or feedback from this podcast episode. Have a great sales period and a great last quarter in a sense. So, thanks again.
Thanks for the chat, Ryan. Good luck, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic Black Friday.